Yep.
I noticed earlier when you were talking about a technique, and you're like, there's a certain detail piece, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and as a good teacher, I try to give as many of the details as I can. But what I find sometimes is, unless this could sound horrible, but sometimes a beginner isn't ready for that detail. If they think that is like the oh right, that's the moment is the
Right.
detail. Well, there are five
Yes.
things you needed to do before the detail really mattered in the
Yep.
fundamentals, right? And so
Oh,
in the
spot on.
midst of it, so that is a piece that, you know, would make a lot of sense to transition people into a private lesson, because at that moment we can get more detail oriented, right? But also talk about, well, that's great. In at my class, we have a joke: is it palm up or is it palm down? Well, first we got to get the target. If I don't have my hand on his elbow, it doesn't matter if it's palm up or palm down.
Right.
How tall is he? What angle is he?
Right.
Is he on a hill? Now we're just
Right.
whatever this is. So right now our job is check the elbow. Otherwise
Right.
he's going to be able to get you. You know, palm
Yes.
up is preferential because I could shift him, but I got to get my hand on him first. Otherwise, it's not.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily matter.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you hit it on the head right there too. Like, especially teaching the kids. Like, sometimes I know I get caught up with it, and it's like you try to teach them like adults, right? Where it's like, hey, these are all the details, and it's like you break out, they work on it, and it's just like that is not how I saw this going at all. So you bring them back in, and it's like, okay, let's slow it down, do 3 steps. This is what I want you to
Yes.
do. And you just ignore all the details and just do these steps to get the movement, right? Learn the movement of what it should just like, what it's going to feel like starting, how's it going to end.
Mm-hmm.
Figure that out, and then we'll get to details because, right, it's like sometimes like you expect them, like, especially because I come from a wrestling background, right? I've been even teaching adults, and you're like, oh, well, just, do this, just circle real quick, and then you take their back. And it's like, because I've done it, I don't need to explain the 10 extra details that I'm doing in there. And then you teach it
Mm-hmm.
to someone who hasn't wrestled, and they're like, I don't get it. You're like, yeah, we need to slow this down a bit, right? Like, don't worry about the details
Mm-hmm.
until you're ready for them.
As I'm talking with you, and I'm going to write this down, what I in teaching is like fundamentals to details. Because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, martial arts is one of those things where, especially the older generation, I'm 50 years old. We grew up when we were teenagers. There was no UFC. It was all kung fu movies that had
Right.
some tale of a person. It was the hero's journey, right?
Right. Exactly.
Consistently, and you're looking for somebody sometimes who's a Miyagi who could give you those details. But it's like, well, first of all, we
Mm-hmm.
got to. Are we hitting the pad? I don't want to be a bad guy, but we
Exactly.
got to hit the pad first. Well,
Yes.
yeah, but I'm going to hit him. I know, but it's roughly in the shape of a head. If we can't hit the pad, we
Right.
probably can't hit the guy.
Right. So, exactly. Like, like the amount of people out there that, like, you look even boxing, right? It is so hard to actually hit someone in boxing. Like, if they don't want you to hit them, you're not going to hit them,
Not
right?
clean.
Right. And it's like people have this idea because you've watched, the movies and stuff that, like, oh, you just got to throw one big punch. And it's like, it's not how this works. Like, there's so much involved with just a simple, I'm going to hit you in the head, right? Like, it's not simple. So
No.
it is funny because it's like, right, let's break this down. Can you can you even get your hand up that high? Can you get your foot up that high, right? Like, because if you can't do that, what are we doing here? Like,
That,
let's not worry about hitting them yet.
exactly. We're just going to get the start piece then.
Right.
Kyle, interesting question. When I was talking with Sam, I had brought up like he does different boxing training, he does MMA, whatever, jujitsu, but he separated everything. So when he just does boxing, he only works boxing. And then he's only working this. And then later he would bring it in maybe in camp, but he kept things separated. And I just thought
Yep.
that was absolutely fascinating. What is your take
Mhm.
on that when you're
It's
preparing or
Yep. Yeah, I mean it's exactly what I do. So at the gym, we have boxing class, we have Muay Thai, we have Jiu-Jitsu, right? And now we also have MMA class twice a week, which is a lot of wrestling because the other classes don't have that wrestling. So like
Mm-hmm.
MMA, you gotta keep up with it, right? So we do a lot of wrestling for that class, but it does implement everything. But yeah, so I separate as well, and it's focused. It's like, okay, so this time we're working boxing, right? This time we're gonna work jujitsu. Um, and then as you're doing them, it's on you to kind of make the connections of like, okay, so if I'm boxing, I can throw this combo and this footwork works, right? Or I can duck this way, I can slip this way. But you got to keep in mind, like, okay, if I do this slip in boxing, I'm safe. If I do it in Muay Thai or MMA, I might end up looking, like Kamara Usman, Leon Edwards, right? So it's like you gotta, as long as you understand the details there, you can do that. But you just got to make sure you're keeping in mind of like, okay, so jujitsu, this guy's holding me down. Okay, well, MMA, you're not doing any damage, right? So yeah, you can hold me here, but as soon as you posture up to do something, I would be gone, right? So don't get frustrated when it's like, oh man, this person just beat me up, and it's like, okay, but if it was MMA, would you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they're 2-on-1 on your leg and they're working leg locks. Like that's great. You got to know all that stuff. But in MMA, if you put two hands on one of my legs, I'm going to put your face through the canvas, right? So it's like, as long as you understand the difference, I think separating those classes is super beneficial.